Becky. Thank you, Clyde. I appreciate you very much. Thank you, everybody else that got things going for live streaming and everything else, because it definitely took a village this morning, didn't it?
It did.
So we're okay, though. But today's lesson is entitled, what is it entitled? Making Heaven, isn't it? Creating Heaven. Yeah, either way. Creating is probably a better word. When I have time to think about it, I usually come up with a better word. Anyway, Reverend Francie was going to give a lesson this morning, but she is not feeling well, so we bless her and know that she's going to be up and at it. You know, nothing to keep her down, so that's good. But making heaven is something, or creating heaven and making heaven is something that we need to talk about, because this is going to be my next talk anyway in this Lenten season, because we are in the Lenten season, and the Lenten season is important to Christianity, although it's a made-up time, and I told you that before. It wasn't, Jesus didn't observe it and all these other things. So it's a made-up time because it comes before Jesus' crucifixion on the weekend of Easter and then his resurrection. So we are celebrating. You know, in times past, our history as far as human beings is mainly through the first Christian church, which was the Catholic Church, is to give up something. On Fridays, usually, most people, that's when McDonald's makes a lot more fish sandwiches on Friday, right? The reason is because they know they're not going to sell as many hamburgers. So, but you can eat fish, according to the old way, eat fish on Friday, and you're going to give up meat on Friday. But there's all sorts of things that have transpired since then, of course. We've tried to give up different things, and I've partaken in that too. But what it all boils down to is one thing. Is how can we be dedicated to something and see it through? Even this short period of time of Lent, how can we be dedicated to something and see it through? And that's what we have to do when we're talking about creating heaven. Because a lot of us have in our mind, and I want you to think about this without mobbing me, a lot of us have in our mind that, when we die, we're going to go to heaven. And, I told you that joke last week, which I stole from the great-grandmother of Kat's godson, and I told you last week, there's only two things that you got to worry about when it gets down to heaven, whether you're going to heaven or hell. Well, we all have in our mind that when we die, we're going to go to one of those places. Or a lot of people have it on their mind, right? But that's I hate to say this, but that's not true. Okay? If you pray and meditate, and you do it for quite a while, you're going to find you're going to start getting some responses to things that you really weren't expecting, and that is like the question of heaven or hell or whatever we're talking about. And the question is not whether we're going to a good or bad place. It's whether we're at a good or bad place right now. And so when we talk about creating heaven, sometimes we think that that's what's going to happen after our physical life, after our physical human life, but it isn't. It was never meant to be that. And Jesus was talking about that all the time. The heaven or hell that you're creating, you're doing it right now. So if you're going out and enjoying yourself, no matter what you're doing, I think somebody said that they're going to the senior center. I visited that in one of our Rockdale County meetings the other day, and they do a lot of great things. But people who don't have a lot of, they're telling us that people who don't have a lot of connections to other adults and things, a lot of those people come there and have their what do you call it? When you get out with people, socialization. That's all they have as far as socialization. They get a ride and everything. So that's a good thing. That's somebody that's willing to say, you know what, I'm not too embarrassed, essentially is what it boils down to go and be there. And you shouldn't be embarrassed anyway, because if that's the only thing, you at least want that for socialization. But when we, what stops us in every situation from creating the heaven here on earth right now for our life is what? It's our pride. And in the book of what we're studying about is in Lessons in Truth, what Clyde's teaching on Wednesdays, we went over that a couple of weeks ago in individuality and the personality. The personality is who we are on the outside, okay? And it's who, actually, we judge other people about who they are, okay? That's their personality. That's not their individuality, which is their spiritual self, okay? And when we talk about those two things, it's extremely important to understand what they mean. Because when we're talking about someone, or even thinking about ourselves, about what type of situation we're in, we're creating something. We're creating whatever we're creating. If we're thinking, these bills, I got these bills packing up, and I'm never going to be able to pay all them bills, that's what you're creating. Okay? That is what you're creating. Now, if you look at it the other way, in fact, we used to do this many years ago. I had this church doing this. Once a month, you were supposed to bring in your bills, and we'd bless the bills. And the reason we did that is we live in a time where, not every country does, but we live in a time where these lights are on, and we haven't paid for them yet. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, that I can have these lights on, and I haven't had to put down, money to have them on today. Okay? Whatever we're talking about, we can create it and make it a certain way. And how we make it is up to us. So creating heaven is something that we have to get in practice to, and it helps when we're on a prayer and meditation regimen, so we can do that at certain times and certain whenever days, so that we can get some of the answers. Because at first, when we're praying and meditating, what happens at first? We have what we used to call monkey mind going on. We can never quiet our mind enough to go and be quiet, and because the idea behind prayer and meditation is to get answers. That I think we'll universally agree on that, no matter where we're at on our prayer and meditation side. But when we're looking for answers, what do we have to do to hear the answer? We have to be quiet. We cannot hear the answer if we're yakking. And if our mind if this is a mental exercise, and we're trying to find out the answer to something, although it may not come exactly as we understand it or want it or whatever, we have to be able to listen. And if we don't listen, the answer is going to come anyway, but we may not see it, hear it, because we're not stopped and quiet enough to do it. Now that doesn't mean that you have to be quiet all the time, of course not. But it does mean that you have to be focused on something to hear the answer. And really, I really kind of take that back. More than a focus, I think you have to focus at first. But then, when you get used to it and all, what you have to do more than anything is just surrender. That doesn't mean give up. That means just let go of all those things, all those concerns you have right now. When you're done praying meditation, if you want to pick them right back up, you can do so. I wouldn't advise it if it's bothering you, Because usually what we go to prayer and meditation for is what? Something that's bugging us. Something that we want. Something other than this or that. That really isn't our core anyway. Because if we look at our core, what we could be praying for every time, I don't want to should anybody, but what we could be praying for every time is just understanding. Just let me know more about my true self. Yes. Let me know more about my Christ self. Absolutely. That's what Jesus was doing. He was always wondering because this is what got him in trouble with his faith. With his faith, he never was a Christian. With his Jewish faith, what got him in trouble was, how can I increase my God understanding? How can he increase that? Well, that wasn't his place, The higher ups in the Jewish religion was his place. That was their place. There was only one high priest that could go in the temple, Only one. The highest priest of all. And so that wasn't, when you get into that. But Jesus said what? Jesus said this is all available to us. Because he figured that out. And all of us can figure that out. And when we do, we are able to learn more, mainly about ourselves, and we can put that into others too, though. But we have to admit, there are some personalities out there in the world, even though I'm kind of putting it on them, but there are some personalities in the world that they're just not going to see that. Probably not this lifetime. And we have to recognize that. But here's the key. The key is the switch in human understanding, the switch in the human mental frame of that is, it only takes a critical mass. It doesn't mean 51%. It means us coming together and understanding the Christ within us, for whatever percentage it is, whatever it'll be, because it's different every time, that will switch over something in humankind, and it will be at a different plateau. So that would help us by being able to, understand that thou shalt not kill. We can start with each other. Thou shalt not kill each other.
Yes.
I mean, even though that's kind of old, that's common sense. Everybody knows that. But do we do that? As a humanity, we haven't. Now, I hope, in fact, I'm positive everybody in here understands that and doesn't ever want to condone that. And if we've ever had to be, in a position where that's happened, it wasn't a choice that we made, that we were trying to do it. I mean, it wasn't something like premeditated or something, because sometimes things do happen.
It was protecting somebody.
It could have been that. Could have been a lot of different things. Could have been, just a lot of different things. So, what I wanted to do today, because I kind of got off on a tangent there, I took up a little bit more time than I was wanting to. What I was wanting to do today is on the creating heaven idea, because Unity has a lot of things, teachings about this, and what I was wanting to do is kind of open it up. And I know it kind of puts you in the spot, but I want to open it up and allow you to ask questions, because when we get into these conversations, even if it's not on creating heaven, you can ask me a question, but and maybe I won't have the answer, I don't know, but I do reserve the right to say I'll get back with you. And it's not like I'm going to have your answer anyway, to be quite honest. You're still going to have to go to prayer and meditation for your answer. This morning we were having and so when you're ready, raise your hand. I want to get you the mic though. When we were getting ready for service, Jim and I were having a conversation about hunting. And it's interesting, just think of this. Because we're, many generations into it now, really, as far as most of us just go to the grocery store and buy whatever we want to buy, right? Mm-hmm. And that's fine, Yet at some point in time, we do have to figure out and understand how that got there. I'm not against, I'm a carnivore myself. I'm not against eating meat. But if you don't understand how that got there, I mean, I'm not trying to make you sick or anything, because, listen, I want to tell you a story since I brought that up.
Ashley says it's potluck Sunday.
Yeah, it's potluck Sunday, too. There's a lot of good stuff back there. If you don't want it, all of it. Anyway, when I was a kid, I don't know how old I was, probably 10 or something. And I don't know if I told you this before or not, Jim, but anyway, when I was a kid, and ate like normal kids, and I don't know how, but somebody told me where my hamburger came from. And
Remember, we got kids in here.
well, they're not that easy. And so it's weird. I'm having a little bit of emotions about it right now. But anyway, I started crying. And because I'd been in the farm. We had farms in our family, and I'd been in the farm and loved the cows. I fed them all the time and all this stuff. And thought, I never ever thought of that. And then when I found that out, I thought. And anyway, probably one of my uncles told me that was a farmer, rancher, said that. Anyway, so I had to come to realize though that is something that I have to choose. So I became a vegetarian for a while. Did it fall?
Give her so she can go
Yeah,
around.
thank you. So anyway, we have these revelations in our life, and then we have at least we know where we're coming from, and we can choose. Okay, so that's what we have to do. We have to make a choice with all the facts that we have available, and there are a lot of facts that maybe we don't know. So before I keep yakking, any questions do we have? Because I don't want to use all your time.
Always. Always.
Kathy, go ahead, shoot it.
Always.
Now don't be taking Wednesday's questions away.
No. Heaven. When he was on the cross, Jesus said, "You'll be with me in paradise." What? Create from your heaven on earth, or is he saying?
Creating heaven wherever you are. He was already pretty much, besides being persecuted, he was already pretty much in heaven. I mean, how much strength would it take for any of us to go into a town where you knew that they were not going to like you? And then, you got, this is cool. I'm going into town. They're celebrating you. Yay, this is kind of cool. Even though he didn't even expect that. But when he got in there, obviously he knew. But was he going to say something other than the truth? No. And so even, and it's funny because I thought we had it this last week, this little bit of a conversation in Clyde's class, as far as Jesus, now I lost my train of thought. Jesus not knowing, or knowing that he was going in there to something negative was going to happen. Oh, we were talking about when he was in front of Pontius Pilate. Yeah, that was last week. And so I don't mean to be hurting other people's feelings, you know, because I said this once and I hurt somebody's feelings that I really cared about, and he never let me out of it. But anyway, neither here nor there. What I said was that Pontius Pilate, which was the final say in whether Jesus was going to be crucified or not, said, I can't find any fault in this man. What do you want me to do? And it was directed at the Jewish leadership. And the Jewish leadership said that you should crucify him. So, you know, and my friend, which was not a practicing Jew, but was of Jewish heritage, you know, got very upset with that and said that is not what happened, that Jews did not kill Jesus. And they didn't do the physical deal, I guess. And I'm not blaming all Jews now by any stretch of the imagination. Not any. I don't have anything negative with the Jews. I don't have anything negative with the Muslims. But I do have negative with the ones that want to kill somebody for no reason. I do have something against that. And that's just me. That's not unity. Don't tell me that. Don't get me in trouble. Be defrocked. Ward wants to go kill people. No, he doesn't. Any other questions? Oh, good. And LUT is going to ask me a question.
No, I would just like a little clarification. Is heaven a place or heaven a state of consciousness?
Thank you for both those questions, because you kind of answered them with the way you asked it. Hell is not a place, unless we make it up. It is not. And I hope that doesn't scare too many people. If any, I hope it doesn't scare anybody. But hell is not a place, unless you make it in your life. You can live in hell, you can live in a heaven. But heaven and hell are states of consciousness. So what do we do when we are living our life? How are we looking at it? How are we envisioning whatever we're having? Right now it just started raining, which I just noticed. So how do we look at that? You know, if we were planning on going home and mowing the lawn, maybe we're saying, oh, God. But, or we could stop and say, hey, it's raining. Don't have to do that right now. Or you can mow in the rain, whatever you want to do. You know, there's different ways of looking at every situation in our life. And, you know, the hardest one for me, at least, that I've experienced is the question of somebody making their transition, somebody dying, going to another phase of life. And, you know, because we get so close to each other, which we should. But when somebody passes, and I've said this numerous times, when somebody passes, we have to consider, were we better off knowing them while we had the opportunity? Or would we have been better off not knowing them at all? So it was really a blessing that I got to know this person that close that it hurts my physicality, I guess, my mental being, that they've made the transition. And it hurts it only because I'm not seeing them in the physical right now. Because we can live through those memories. Go ahead.
Well, I like to say I'm in heaven because I put fertilizer out and I was hoping I didn't have to water it.
There you go.
I'm very happy.
Very good.
I know y'all got questions. Come on now, don't be shy. You're not on camera. Come on.
Yeah, we just want to. Okay, this is going to be my take, and there's not an official take from Unity, okay? The soul does not evolve anymore. It isn't going to evolve any more than what you've got right now. As humans, we don't recognize the evolution of our soul as it is, for the most part. We can, but we don't. And the human condition is that we kill each other, that we do all these things that we shouldn't be doing that has nothing to do with our soul. Okay? So our soul doesn't really evolve per se, but when we go back to pure spirit, which we will if we transition from this life, we'll think it evolved, but we really won't because we'll be part of the whole. It's funny if you think about it. When this idea of when we die, we go.
I asked you this one time.
Identify yourself because you did everybody.
Anyways, my question is, well, it's two parts.
Uh-oh.
Why do you think we're here in physical? I believe is to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And if we haven't had the chance to learn what we came here for, Why are we here?
What's preventing you from learning it?
Dying. Per you. Now, I don't think so. I think I get to come back and learn what I feel I needed.
Okay, so what's preventing you from learning right now? You're not dead yet.
Right. You learn as you go. Do you know everything?
Well, that's not a fair question to ask me up front.
Yeah, and if you made your transition right now, so what's preventing you from learning everything before you make the transition?
You want me to take that mic from her now?
No, she can have it, I don't care. No, that's good, Sandy, that's good that you're bringing up those thoughts.
There's no secret. Jim and I believe in reincarnation.
Right.
Bill did too, I don't know who else does. But I just believe that.
Mike.
I just believe that if we make our transition, there are so many people, so many kids that were brought up maybe in a drug family and never had any, and if they pass away, they didn't get to learn what they came here to learn.
How do you know that? I mean, I'm not trying to be mean to you or anything, but I'm just saying, because, like Francie had a big family, but one of her sisters was autistic, or had Down syndrome, Down syndrome. And, when I came into the family, that, I really wasn't, I'd heard about Downs, but I really didn't experience it. And so when I did, though, I was so happy to see that, and every Downs I have met is this way. Now, I don't know if all of them are, but everyone I've met was so full of love.
Right.
I mean, it was just unconditional. It was like a baby, a young, not only that baby, but even younger, where they are depending on you totally and everything, and it's just so full of love.
Right.
Now, we can say that person came into life and didn't get to live it fully, but that's not a fair.
Oh no, I think they lived their lives fully. A lot of them do. A lot of them go own businesses. They all do. That doesn't stop.
Well, it depends on the
Right, the scenario.
So, but it's the same thing with anybody else, whether they're on drugs or they, I heard the other day that I was really surprised that they don't call it SIDS anymore, I guess. But I was surprised to see that a lot of kids or babies are, a lot more than used to be, are dying. They don't call it SIDS anymore anyway, but whatever they call it nowadays. But it's something, so is that, for that family, those parents, is that something that they, I mean, we're talking about the kid, but, as far as not living a life, but the adults had that child out of love. Mm-hmm. Now, is that fair to them for that child to make its transition? Maybe not. I mean, is it fair? I guess that's a relative term. Mm-hmm. Maybe not. But maybe that child wasn't wanting, whoever it was, wherever it was, wasn't wanting to experience that at the time. I believe in kenosis. And I know that even though reincarnation is similar, but it's not exactly the same. Because we're not learning, we're not on a continual learning path on kenosis. Kenosis is where your spirit decided, and the Bible talks about this, your spirit decided to come here in this human form. And for whatever reason. And whatever reason I would say is, if you went to Las Vegas and you won every bet you made, I know it's hard to understand, but after a while, that would be so boring. That would be so, what the heck am I doing? It's the same with life. If we don't have any, I don't think that God challenges us, or what is it that a lot of mainstreams give us
Tests? He doesn't give us tests?
No, I'm talking about gives us challenges. It's not called that though, but anyway.
Opportunities.
Yeah,
Obstacles?
Yeah, it gives us obstacles is a better word. But God doesn't do that. God wants the best for you. You put obstacles up in your own way. Right. So when we talk about people that have, let's talk about Jesse. A lot of people, my son just got out of prison and was in prison mainly for hurting himself. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are other circumstances, but they were all stemmed from drugs, which he can't stay away from. We had some great conversation. Well, most people looking at the conversation probably wouldn't say they're great because, voices were raised and all this stuff. But, we had some conversations while he was at home. And now he's already left, a little bit more than a week.
But
So
sometimes-
what happens when, let me finish my thought on
Okay,
this.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's all right. What happens when you love somebody and they aren't choosing heaven right now?
Right.
Does that mean that
They
you should
should-
stop choosing heaven? No, that doesn't
No,
mean that.
no.
But you can't, listen, you cannot have, if a personality is going to be living in the vicinity where it's going to create you not to have the heaven that you want, then something has to shift. Or else you're not going to have the heaven you want. Which most people choose.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, well, wait, this is toxic for me. I can't do this. So we need to figure out something where we can both be happy. Okay? Because your kids are not going to choose the same thing that you wanted for them.
Okay. But we also know that we're in the physical form here.
Right?
And not that Jess could make better choices, but he was,
It's great.
I know where he came, the environment he came from,
Yeah.
early, not
Right.
not
right.
theirs. So, I don't know what part that,
So would it be, that's a good question. So Jesse was abused as a child. We got him at 3 years old. He was the city of Wichita, Kansas, called the crack baby. Because he wasn't, well, he may have been born because when his birth mother was on crack, but whoever was in the house was making their solution and ended up spilling Drano on him, liquid Drano, which, liquid Drano is very toxic. It's very, but it starts when it touches water. Well, he got poured on his diaper, or when he had his diaper on, and of course he urinated. Well, that set off the Drano. So he was recognized by that, or they called him the Drano baby, I guess. But he had to have a lot of skin things done, and of course when he went off, he's a baby, he started crying, so he had it in his hands and put it in his lip, and so you can't even see that hardly anymore, because we had a great plastic surgery. But anyway, all that stuff happened to him before we adopted him. Now the question is, and I'm not saying this because I have no question about it, but should somebody adopt somebody like that? You're going to have problems with that. And so, should somebody adopt somebody like that? Most of the time, nobody does.
I know. But
So I'm not saying
good people.
look at that. No, I'm not saying that at all.
I am.
I'm saying that you were saying about how they didn't get the chance. Everybody has a chance at some point, believe it or not, and that it's whether they take. Because we teach our kids here, what I was talking about earlier. Whenever they run into these trials and tribulations, not brought on by God, but brought on by just the things that go on, we want them to know that they have the strength to get through it and still be in good shape.
I have one more question.
Okay.
Shut up.
No, you don't have to shut up.
All right. Explain how a 3-year-old can come into this world knowing how to play the piano, the classical piano, Mozart, all these other people.
Mm-hmm.
How did they come in this world with
Jesus.
that?
Oh, I think all of us come into the world with all of that. Everything. Except we are dumbed down, to be quite honest. This is just a personal thing. It has nothing to do with unity. I think that babies can't talk because they know it all. That's what I think. I think babies cannot talk right at first because they're coming from pure spirit. They have a lot of knowledge, but we call it knowledge. Heck, it's just nature to them. I mean, so I don't think it's look how the earth's set up. Nature, nobody really concerns themselves about, and I know you're not going to like this, but one animal in the food chain, okay? Before it gets to us. Nobody ever talks about that negatively. Oh, let's let them pour whatever. They don't talk about that because that's just the nature. That's what happens. It's something that has to eat something.
Right.
And so
I'm fine with that. I know that. I just didn't like what you were talking about. The lions in the zoo.
oh yeah, okay, that's
You didn't
old.
have
Yeah,
to
I know.
add
Not
that.
everybody knows that. So
Okay.
I know it's a bad memory. You need to release that.
Yeah, well, you brought it up again, and I'm sorry, we have children in here, so I guess.
Yes, ma'am.
Let it go. I just had an observation, which obviously you comment on, but you asked why are we here in this physical form, but Jesus was sent here in this physical form also.
Right.
And he had his opportunity and we have our opportunity, and I think that as Jesus was teaching to love one another, love God, love living, and we're here as teachers of practical Christianity. I mean, we all can be Jesus.
He's told us.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's funny too about how, going back to that, I personally think that in kenosis, well, why would somebody that has everything, or somebody, it's not a somebody because there's no personality, why would part of spirit want to go down to a place or wherever, I say that, see, that's from old thinking too, go down to a place, but why would they want to go to earth and be in a place where you don't win all your bets?
Right.
At Vegas. Okay. Well, the reason is obvious. I think I just think it would be totally boring to be in some place where the same thing happens every single time. I think it's a welcome thing. Kenosis is something that a lot of spirit wants to do.
I have a question.
Yes. Good.
Why I can say that?
No, we want it on the tape.
Thanks, God. I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but
You're not wrong.
when we talk about creating heaven,
Mm-hmm.
are we kind of using heaven and peace synonymously? Like, are we? Because when you say it, my mind is thinking we're creating a peace within,
Mm-hmm.
and that is heavenly. So
Yes.
I wonder, just kind of elaborate for a minute about if peace in heaven, in the way that we're using it in this conversation, is, kind of on the same playing field.
Sure, and you're right, and you're exactly right. To ask those questions is important. So yes, we are. It is the same thing. Peace. You can't. I don't think that anybody's. I shouldn't say that, but our idea of heaven definitely includes peace. The problem that in our human condition right now is some people's idea of heaven doesn't include peace for everybody. Well, yours and mine would be peace for everybody. And see, I said even when I was answering that, I was saying peace, assuming that everybody wants peace, but not everybody does.
Right.
When we have a cancer in our body, what do? Fillmore was famous for saying this. Well, if you go out and break your leg, because everybody was asking him. Fillmore was one of the founders of Unity. Everybody was asking him, well, what about medical conditions? Can't we pray ourselves healed? And because it was more prevalent back then in his time, because there are still places that say you can pray yourself healed on things, and you can to a certain extent. And I'm not saying prayer doesn't have a place in it, but he was asked this question numerous times, and so he said, well, if you go out and you break your leg, or somebody asked that question, if you break your leg, can't we pray it healed? And he said, yeah, you can pray it healed, but you need to go to the doctor too and get it set. So it's kind of like, common sense stuff. We have a lot of, in fact, I'll tell you another story about medicine is, for most, I don't know if it's most now, but anyway, a large part of my life, I was against medicine, period. Because people get stuck on it, and even during we fostered children for a long time before we adopted, and this one girl, she was 18, and she was on this medicine, and I saw it doing her no good. So, and I probably shouldn't tell this because I can't get in trouble now, I don't think. But anyway, I took her off the medication. That was not what you're supposed to do, first of all. But so I took her off the medication. And really, I didn't see that much difference, but I did hear of a difference later on, after she left our care. And, but many years after that, I was with a well-respected Unity minister, and we were sitting down and talking about medicine, and I told him I just don't agree with people getting on medicine for long term. And he said, well, Warren, medicine is a divine idea too, because some people's bodies do not produce what they need to produce to be in a healthy state. And so that clicked something in me, and I thought, yeah, I guess so. And so I've shifted, as most of us have on something or another, over the years about what is okay and what isn't. So,
Oh, I'm sorry, can we get
Oh.
Colin and I'll come back there?
okay.
I've been told all my life that when you die, your physical body stays here, but the spirit leaves you and go. Now, can that spirit come back
Put the mic
in a different form?
Yeah.
Can that spirit come back in a different form into someone else's life? In a different life, a human life.
Right.
That's reincarnation.
Right.
Well, wait a second, though. I don't know. I think so. Now, are you asking me about the spirit, or are you asking me about the personality?
No, not the personality.
Okay, good.
The spirit.
Yeah, you still have. Once you go back to full spirit, kenosis is still a real thing. I mean, they're not. I mean, God isn't going to limit you.
No, but do they come back as somebody else in a?
Yes.
Can, but it wouldn't be just that spirit of yours. It would be, because once you go back, this is my opinion. If you go back, then you go back to the wholeness of everything. So it's kind of like if all of us in here were one person. Then if we took and it went and that person some of it decided to go back to Earth as a human being, well, it wouldn't need the whole thing. So just take some of it, and it would be a mixture of all of us. It wouldn't be, and that's what.
To the bigger energy.
Mm.
That makes sense to me.
And we have physical proof that when somebody dies, there is an energy that leaves them. We have seen it. I mean, not like a ghost or something, but the energy meters have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Not only leaving the body, but staying intact, going up or going out of the body, not necessarily up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is it kind of like that wrinkle, like when you see heat?
Right. Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so I just had this is Rita. Oh, I'm Rita. I have a lot of back issues like spinal stenosis, pinched nerve, all the things. And so I had all this stuff done, like injections, different types of injections. And finally, and when I was doing the hand medication, different types, and every time I tried something, it just didn't seem to work.
Mm-hmm.
And finally I got with the doctor, and he said, well, I think this would help you because you have chronic back pain.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would just go see this doctor, talk to them, and it reversed the way you think about medication to the point where you can talk yourself into letting that pain go.
Good. Ooh,
Like
that's powerful.
Yes, very powerful. And so I started doing it. It's like when you start feeling it coming on, you just kind of sit in it and just kind of listen to it and just kind of feel it.
Wow.
And before you know it, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you do that, I may do it like 5 minutes.
Right.
I may do it just whenever it come on.
Right.
And when I do that, it goes away. No medication whatsoever.
Wow.
What she's describing is a change in consciousness.
Well, no doubt. And you're right. And I'm so proud of you. That's a great lesson. I hope everybody heard that. And I would add exercise and diet, because we still have to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Even though, I want to tell you something, because phantom pain is real, whether you believe it or not. I mean, you think, but it just tells you that how much the mental capacity can do. Because when I was working at Unity Village, I took over 4 departments, or was in charge of 4 departments, and I had an accident. I had been working with printing presses for almost 30 years, well, more than 30 years. And I did a stupid thing that I just was in a rush and had working with a DC charged press, which means it isn't going to stop. Okay, the electrical current, some presses, if you hold on to them real hard, they'll stop. But this one had a current that was not going to let it stop. Well, I was cleaning it, helping one of the guys on the floor clean his press real quick, and so I got this rag caught, and it was caught in my finger, and it pulled the end of my finger off. Well, for a long time after that, not a long time, but for quite a while after that, I felt like my finger was still there, and it wasn't. I mean, my finger is there, but the top of it, I thought the top was. So, phantom pain is something that is real, but it's something, it tells me that how powerful the brain is and how powerful it can be in the other direction too. How we can train ourselves into understanding what the true healing is. And real quick, I know we got to get going on here to you, Jim, but the Francie showed me something the other day, and she was all excited about it. I'm not as excited about it, but it was factual. Let's just put it that way. The American, in fact, you probably knew this, but I don't know. Yeah, and I'm trying to think of who it was. It was an oil magnet. It was anyway, I'll think about it. It wasn't. It was in one of the oil guys, the very first part of oil. He founded and started the American Medical Association, and started the drugs that are available to us today, and most of them have an oil base, believe it or not. And I was looking at some drugs one drug, and it's whatever it is. It's an oil base. I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh wow. And so anyway, if you see that, you'll understand that I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. So but Francie's really up on it. That explains a lot, and it could. Because how many people here think that oil would be good for the body? I don't. I don't think oil would be good for anybody's body.
Castor oil is good for a lot of things.
Castor oil, but that's not. Yes, that's true.
Olive oil.
Is castor oil though? Is it from crude? Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Nuts and seeds.
There's all kinds of oils that are good for you.
Yeah, but okay.
And also, you have not mentioned Myrtle Fillmore One. She is a co-founder of Unity,
Yes.
and she healed herself of tuberculosis
Right.
by her mind. She prayed for every cell in her body, and she healed herself.
Took her 2 years, but she did heal herself.
Yeah.
And Jim.
Because she got that seed planted in her.
Yeah.
She heard somebody talk. Go ahead, Jim.
Edgar Casey is the greatest documented psychic in the last 5 or 6 ever, probably in years. And he, what his, and he's did over 14,000 readings. They're still available. How do you reconcile? And he never mentions kenosis.
Right.
He does mention other things.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile his readings with kenosis?
Well, I don't. I haven't never done that, so I should, I guess. I didn't think about that. But yeah, I think that all of us are here, and for not necessarily different reasons, because I think there's more than one person put here for a certain reason, but we're put here for multiple reasons. And if we find, because there's each one of us here have something that brings us joy. So when you're doing something, and it could be, building cars, whatever it is, brings you joy. We're different in that way. And I don't like even saying different because people take that wrong sometimes, but that's what I like to say, unique. We're unique in that way. And so when we look at that, Mr. Casey and Fillmore may not see things the same way, but so what? They're looking at it from a different angle. And it's all good stuff though, okay? Because something, like I was just saying about that oil stuff may work great for somebody, but then I'm going to. And then it may not work great for other people, okay? Well, listen, I appreciate, and I'm going to cut off because of the time, because we want to eat. Not only me, but anyway, there's plenty of food back there, so everybody stay and get your stuff, and I know that Ashley's going to be happy that we gave her some more time. So let's just go and